Can the government take away your freedom based on where your family is from? Imagine it. The year is 1942. A mere 2 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, fear and suspicion toward Japanese Americans started spreading across the country. In February, President Roosevelt signed an executive order that authorized the military to remove people from areas if they were deemed a security risk. The executive order didn't specifically say Japanese Americans, but it was used to target them. Around 120,000 Japanese Americans were rounded up and sent to these incarceration camps, two-thirds of which were actually American citizens. Families were given very little, if any, advance notice that they were going to be shipping out. And that put a lot of people in serious binds. They had to sell their homes, their possessions, their businesses, and some just straight up abandoned what they had. And also, some weren't even allowed to bring into the camps more than they could carry. These camps were surrounded by barbed wire fences, and they were guarded by armed soldiers, and none of these people had committed a crime. In fact, the government used the argument of we're doing it for national security following Pearl Harbor attacks, but there was never any proof of Japanese American espionage or sabotage. And then in 1944, the Supreme Court upheld the government's authority to keep Japanese Americans away from military areas. However, later in the year, the government started to allow people who were in these internment camps to go home, and they finally closed for good in 1946. Decades later, the United States formally acknowledged the injustice. And in 1988, President Reagan actually signed the Civil Liberties Act and apologized on behalf of the government and authorized reparations for the surviving family. Many of those 120,000 who were in prison lost nearly all, if not everything, they had. And some of those people who were serving overseas at the time had family who were locked behind those fences. Coming up, while war was raging on across the globe, back in America, scientists were creating a weapon the likes of which the world had never seen.